Hello friends, and welcome back to Scaling Stories. Today, I've got some more highly upvoted posts from Best of Redditor updates for you all. Like always, I'll be reading you the posts and giving you my opinions, and I'll also be working on building up my Forever World at the same time, so I hope you enjoy. Also, I'm currently only in Spotify's creator program, so watching on there would help me out a ton. Thank you so much for your support. Today's first story comes from the Am I the Jerk subreddit. It was posted by Adorable Distance 15 on July 27th, 2024, and was titled, Am I the Jerk for ordering pizza at my friend's wedding because there was no food? My wife and I were invited to my friend's wedding. The wedding was going to have about 70 people, with mostly family. When we got there, we were seated at a table with some other people. Nice people, and we mingled well and had a good time chatting. The wedding was also quite nice, and both my friend and his new wife were very happy. After the ceremony, every table got 2 bottles of wine, bread/butter, and there was also an open bar, so we started to have a few drinks. Then the food came out. It looked really good. The food was set up for a buffet. I was half buzzed and looking forward to getting some food in my belly. When it was time to eat, every few tables at a time were going to get called, which is fine. The first few tables that were called were, understandably, the family of both sides. Then the rest were. The problem was that the family members, his in-laws, are larger people. Now, I don't shame people for how much they eat, but I noticed the helpings of food they had while I was patiently waiting for us to be called. I also noticed that they went for seconds before all the tables were called, and no one stopped them. I didn't say anything, though I thought that was rude. I just assumed that there was just a lot of food. To my surprise, by the time we were called, there was nothing left. I asked if there was more coming out, and apparently, that already occurred. So we grabbed the little we could and went back to sit down and ate the scraps. We were all still pretty hungry and a bit pissed off, so we kind of bash talked that the first few tables ate all the food. Someone mentioned that they could go for some pizza, and then I had the drunken idea of ordering some. Lol. So, that is what we did. We all pitched in and ordered 4 large pizzas and some chicken wings from a local pizza joint close to the venue, so it didn't take long to be delivered. I met the guy outside and brought the food to our table, and we started to eat. Some of the other tables noticed and asked where the pizza came from. Apparently, some of the other tables close to ours didn't get any food either, so we shared with them. This caused some commotion because other people were looking for and asking the wedding party if there was pizza available. I guess there were others that didn't get to eat either. We did share with anyone who asked us. My friend came to talk to me about why I ordered the food. His bride was not happy about it. It ruined the aesthetics. So I told him that we didn't get to eat and that the food ran out long before our table was called, and we were really hungry. He then asked why we didn't just step out and eat, then come back. Though annoyed about that, I respectfully explained to him that we were all drinking on an empty stomach and that it probably wasn't the best idea to have drunk people walking around looking for food. I don't think he liked that, but went back to his bride, who was glaring at us. Like, what were we supposed to do? Starve? This wasn't the end though. As we were finishing eating, one of the in-laws came to our table, and he asked where the pizza came from. This is where I may be the jerk. There were 2 slices left. I knew he was eyeing them. I asked the other people at my table if they wanted one. Everyone declined. This guy then said he'd have one. I then took the 2 slices, put them on my plate, and started to eat them, then looked at him and said something like, "No, you and everyone at your tables had way more than your fair share of the buffet and ate all of it. This is the reason we ordered food in the first place, and now you have the nerve to ask us to share." His face went red, and he returned to his table. There was a lot of discussion going on there. They were all looking back at us with daggers. The bride looked even more ticked off at us. She had a bit of an argument with my friend. He eventually came back to tell us we had to leave. I didn't mean to start any problems, so my wife and I called a cab and left. He called me a few days later, and we had a long talk. I explained my perspective, and he agreed that his in-laws were really rude for eating all the food and leaving most of the other guests with very little. A lot of people actually complained to him about it. Everyone was drinking, thinking that there would be food, and they were disappointed. He was upset with his in-laws because he told them how many guests there would be and to order the food for that many people. He also saw how much they were taking, but assumed they ordered enough. He was wrong. He brought this up with his wife, and she said that, apparently, because the in-laws paid for the alcohol and the food, they felt entitled to eat what they wanted. She was really mad at them and reamed them out for tainting her special day. He also said a lot of the other non-family guests started to leave soon after we left because they too were hungry. They still had fun celebrating, but it did kind of put a downer on their special day. Out of 70 people, about 30 left. I also found out that the guy who came to our table was his father-in-law. The father-in-law was really embarrassed by what I said to him. He felt pretty bad when he found out close to half the guests didn't get to eat anything and left early. So, am I the jerk here? Scaling Stories Corner. Nah, OP is not the jerk in this situation. If I was OP's friend or the bride, I would be straight up embarrassed if nearly half of my guests were legit starving because the people early on took too much food. Like, first off, where is your self-awareness and control? How are some of these people going up for seconds before people even got their first plate? The bride said that the in-laws felt entitled to the amount of food they took because they were the ones that paid for it. But that is just such a weird thought process and behavior to me. Like, okay, so what if you paid for it? Of course someone has to pay for the food at the wedding. That doesn't mean you literally eat all of it before people can even get one plate of food. That's just like basic common sense and courtesy. And I'm pissed that the friend heard that his guests were starving, and after he found out that they ordered pizza and wings, he was just like, oh, why did you have to bring that inside? Like, why couldn't you just eat it outside? Like, nah. If that was me, I would have apologized to OP and everyone else that they had to do that to begin with. And then I would offer to cover the cost for the food for whatever the amount was. And that would have made things right, and I think that wouldn't have killed the vibe. But yeah, and then to be told to GTFO out of the wedding after all of that, instead of accepting blame for the situation? Like, is this person actually my friend? That is just hella disrespectful, no? Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, no, for a wedding buffet, always order more than what's needed. The in-laws are the jerks here. You could have handled it better with the pizza, but half the freaking people there didn't get food. That sounds like more than a big people got seconds problem. Commenter 2 says, can't believe the father-in-law asked for pizza, lol. Commenter 3 says, yeah, this sounds less like a they got seconds problem and more like a they didn't order enough food for the catering problem. No matter how big the family is, getting seconds shouldn't mean that 30 out of the 70 people don't get fed. I'm guessing they cheaped out on the catering and hoped for the best, and then the natural consequences for their actions came along. OP later adds an edit to his post. My goodness, I didn't think I was going to get this kind of response, lol. So many comments. I went through a good chunk of the messages and thought that it would be easier to address the common ones here. The only reason I ordered the pizzas was that I was drinking. All I ate that day was a sandwich for lunch and some bread that was at the table, so I needed something more substantial in my stomach so I wouldn't get sick. So, no, I couldn't wait it out for a few hours. I wasn't the only person drinking either because the open bar was booming. However, I guess I could have held back on drinking a bit until the food came out. Those saying that I fat-shamed the father-in-law, I'm going to have to disagree. I didn't say anything to him about his body. I was only honest with him about why I had to order the food. I don't judge people based on looks and accept everyone for who they are, as they are. You can't judge a book by its cover, so I judge people based on their actions. If you knew me, you would see that my friend group ranges from basic people to freaks and weirdos, lol. In fact, a good friend of mine, nicknamed Crusher, is a big dude, absolutely hilarious, and super fun to hang out with. This is not an AI-generated post, lol. My intelligence may be limited, but there is nothing artificial about it. The buffet was at my friend's request. He loves buffets, and this was his added touch to the wedding. He also chose the dishes. I know that it is not common for weddings to do buffets, but that's what he wanted. Thanks, everyone, for your comments. I will continue to read them and update this thread accordingly. Update 2 days later. Hey guys, I already have an update. First, I never stated when the wedding happened. The wedding was last week, on July 20th. My friend just stopped by for a little bit. Apparently, his wife was more upset than he initially said, but not at me, toward her family. He also said she wanted to apologize for booting me. So, father-in-law feels really bad, and he is going to step up and try to fix the situation. He's going to throw an after-wedding shindig. LOL. His words. Everyone who is at the wedding will be invited, including me, my wife, and some additional people. They are thinking there will be about 100 guests. Father-in-law also promised that there will be an assortment of food, more than enough for everyone, plus an army. Lol. He also wanted to personally let me know that there will be 50 large pizzas from the same joint I ordered from. That is his way of adding some humor to the situation. I think it's pretty funny. Lol. He's also going to hire a DJ or a live band, possibly have some fireworks, and arrange other events, like axe throwing and a bonfire. This actually sounds like it's going to be a real fun time. The only difference is that this will be a bring your own beer event, which is no big deal. A father-in-law is pulling in a favor from a friend of his who owns a farm. The farm has 2 guest houses and the main house, as well as plenty of space outside. About 50 people can be squeezed in between the 3 houses, so he is going to encourage people to bring RVs. I have one. Campers and tents if they can. Nothing is official yet, but they are looking to hold the shindig around mid-August. Sounds like this is going to be a blast. I'll update you all when I can. Second update 6 months later. After the wedding fiasco, we got the invites from my friend's father-in-law to the after-wedding shindig. It took a while, so I honestly thought it was a joke at first, but my friend, the groom, who dropped them off, said it's happening. It just took a while to organize it. The invites mentioned food, drinks, activities, and a lot of pizza. I wasn't sure what to expect, but my wife and I decided to go. It was in mid-September, and the weather was absolutely perfect, with clear skies, warm sun, and a bit breezy. When we arrived, we saw the setup and were blown away. The event was on this massive farm owned by the friend of the father-in-law. There were RVs, campers, and tents scattered everywhere. It looked like some kind of mini music festival. The main house and 2 guest houses were open for people who didn't want to camp, and the yard was filled with picnic tables, lawn games, and a huge bonfire pit. As soon as we parked, the father-in-law greeted us. He was wearing this ridiculously loud Hawaiian shirt and sunglasses, grinning like he just won the lottery, lol. He shook my hand and said, "I'm glad you're here. There's plenty of food this time." I couldn't help but laugh, lol. The food setup was insane. There were long tables covered with barbecue, all kinds of sides, desserts, and, front and center, a pyramid of pizza boxes. LOL. I'm not kidding. It had to be at least 50 large pizzas from the same place I ordered from at the wedding. Each box had a sticker that said Shindig Special on it. Everyone was already joking about it. People started showing up in droves. A lot of people brought their own coolers full of beer since it was bring your own beer, and others even joined in the pizza theme, LOL. Someone even wore a pizza print dress. Another guy had a pizza-shaped hat, and there were pizza cookies on one of the desserts table. It was hilarious. The vibe was lighthearted and fun, and honestly, it was a way better atmosphere than at the wedding. There was so much going on. The axe throwing, cornhole, live music, and even some fireworks set up for later. The father-in-law was wandering around, handing out slices of pizza like it was his personal mission to make sure no one went hungry. My friend, the groom, found me and pulled me aside. He had a beer in one hand and slapped me on the back with the other. He thanked me and told me if I hadn't ordered that pizza, we probably wouldn't be here right now. As the day went on, everyone seemed to be having a blast. The bride even gave a little speech. She thanked everyone for coming, then pointed at me and said, "And a special thanks to the guy who turned a wedding mishap into a shindig we'll never forget." People laughed and clapped, and I felt a bit embarrassed but also kind of proud. The night ended with lots of fireworks and everyone gathering around the bonfire, roasting marshmallows and sausages. People were drinking, singing, and telling stories. It felt like a proper celebration, and I couldn't help but think this is how the wedding should have been. The father-in-law came up to me near the end of the night with a slice of pizza on a plate. He said he wasn't sure how to make up for the mess they made at the wedding, but thought this did the trick. I shook his hand, smiled, and said this party was a hit. All in all, the shindig turned out to be one of the most memorable events I've ever been to. Everyone left full, happy, and with plenty of stories to tell. It's funny how a simple thing like ordering pizza at the wedding turned into something this big. But hey, I guess that's just how life goes sometimes. That's the update, guys. Just wanted to thank everyone for their comments. I actually never thought this post would blow up like this. On another note, baby's due in May, so I'm pretty sure the night of the shindig, he/she was conceived. Wink wink. Lol. Scaling Stories Corner. That is super unexpected, for a lack of a better word. Or maybe that's the best word, unexpected. Because I don't think I could have ever predicted that sequence of events from the original post. I do think that it's great that the in-laws made up for their mistake by hosting a do-over party, and even though the wedding day dinner itself might have had negative vibes, I think this one definitely helps layer like positive vibes and good memories on top. That must have cost a crazy amount of money though, like from all the things OP was listing out. I mean, the in-laws probably didn't think people were gonna go hungry at the initial wedding event, but if they got that much money lying around to do a second event like that, they should have just made sure there was ample food at the initial wedding buffet in the first place, you know? Or maybe they splurged a bit at the do-over event because they felt bad about how the initial wedding dinner thing played out. Potentially. I guess that could be a potential reason too. It's not like they were super rich, but it's definitely giving rich vibes. Okay, friends, so that concludes our first story of the day. Next up, we have a story from the Relationship Advice subreddit. It was posted by ThrowRAHelpSecret on October 11th, 2021, and was titled, I, 65 male, found out that my daughter's 34 female fiance, 35 male, is gay. My daughter, Dina, has been engaged to Stan for a little over 7 months now. They are supposed to be getting married in November of next year. Stan is a wonderful kid. He's polite, hardworking, treats my daughter well, and I instantly liked him when I met him. When he asked for my blessing, I was happy to give it to him, and our whole family was thrilled when she said yes. I want to preface this by saying I am absolutely not a bigot. I do not hate gay people, and I accept people for who they are. Stan, admittedly, has some behaviors that trends towards feminine. He does a lot of baking. He spends a long time in the bathroom getting his hair just right. He knows Broadway musicals by heart, was a theater kid in high school, and watches a lot of chick shows. A few friends and family members have questioned his sexuality to me, and I've told them that he is who he is, and Dina loves him for it. Recently, I ran into the mother of a boy my older son graduated with. When I mentioned Dina was engaged to Stan, she looked very surprised. When I asked about her reaction, she told me that she didn't think he'd end up with a woman. I went into my typical spiel about him just being sensitive, but she cut me off. She informed me that her son, Matt, 35 male, is gay, and that he and Stan had dated for 2 years. She brought up Facebook on her phone and pulled up her son's profile. As she opened up the photos, there was no denying it. Matt and Stan were together, holding hands, kissing, smiling at each other, typical relationship photos that go up on Facebook. Stan wasn't tagged in any of the photos, but it's definitely him. They're from 6 years ago, and Stan has been with Dina for 2 years. She apologized for springing this on me, but felt I should know. I told my wife, and after talking it out, we both agreed that we had to tell Dina. We sat down with her and explained what we had found out. Her reaction was not what I expected. She got angry at me for spying on him, told me I had no idea what I was talking about, and that he was not gay. I told Dina that I liked Stan, but I couldn't let her marry someone who couldn't love her as a wife. She was crying at this point and told me I was a terrible human being who needed to mind my own business and stop trying to embarrass Stan. I told her I didn't want to see her get her heart broken, and that if she was going to go this route, she needed to get a prenuptial agreement. Dina earns more than double what Stan does. She told me to mind my own business and that I didn't know what I was talking about. I asked her why I would make this up when I like Stan. I just don't want her to throw her life away. She told me she can't talk to me about this and that I don't understand anything, and stormed out. We have to pay a big installment on the wedding next month, as it's a year out, and I don't know if it's even a good idea at this point. Dina is not taking our calls and will not respond to us in any way. What do I even do here? I feel like I approached this in the best way I could, and it still blew up. Scaling Stories Corner. Okay, so I feel like the steps OP took in this situation was maybe in the right direction, but maybe he worded it really badly to Dina. Because I'm stuck on the part where she's accusing OP for spying on Stan. I feel like if the conversation opened up like, hey Dina, I have something serious to talk to you about, Stan, that I'm not sure you're aware of. Earlier, I ran into like so and so's mom, and she said her son was gay and actually dated Stan for a couple of years. And yeah, I was surprised too. And she even showed me pictures of the two of them as a couple, and it really looked like him, you know? If OP presented the information like this, I don't think it's possible to say he was spying on Stan. And then I don't see how Dina would accuse him of spying. It's likely he just opened up with information about Stan being gay, and that caused a very negative reaction by Dina. But I understand OP's point of view that he wants to protect his daughter in case Stan is using Dina as a beard. And a beard is like say you have like a gay guy and he wants to hide his like sexual orientation because he doesn't want other people to find out about it. So he'll like date or marry a girl so people won't think he's gay. And it doesn't just apply to a gay guy. I'm just using that as an example. And I'm not sure if that's what Stan is doing, but I think that is what OP is scared of happening to his daughter. It's also entirely possible that Stan is bisexual. So yeah, he might have dated Matt in the past, but now he's with Dina and that works out, you know? Or there is a possibility that maybe Dina is also gay and that it was supposed to be like a lavender marriage. It could be possible. But yeah, I feel like the situation really blew up because OP came at Dina as in like your fiance is not who you think he is. He's like trying to screw you over. You need a prenup and all that. Your love's not real. And then like I can definitely see from like the other point of view, like just immediate denial about like everything, right? And if you come at someone like that, even if you're trying to help them, like they're gonna be super against you no matter what you're saying. And it's possible that like Dina knows that Stan, I guess in this case, like if she's not gay and she's straight and Stan is not gay, he's bi, like it's possible she already knows that. But just the way OP came at her, like she feels like she can't really talk to OP about it. So yeah, I think OP definitely could have done better in that conversation. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the original post. Commenter 1 says, "Firstly, Stan is likely bisexual, not gay. Quote, Stan admittedly has some behaviors that trend towards feminine. He does a lot of baking, he spends a long time in the bathroom getting his hair just right, he knows Broadway musicals by heart, was a theater kid in high school, and watches a lot of chick shows." Unquote. You're clearly very sexist, as well as homophobic, so it's no wonder your daughter didn't want to discuss anything with you. Who Stan dated in his past has no bearing on his future. He loves Dina, and she loves him. Quote, but I couldn't let her marry someone, unquote. As if that's your choice to make for a 34-year-old grown woman. Keep your bigoted nose out of their business, and accept that Dina is a grown-up, fully capable of making her own decisions. OP says, I am not homophobic at all. I have defended Stan every time someone brings up his behaviors and asks me if I'm sure he's straight. I give these examples only as things other people have brought up. I have never commented on anything he's done. In all honesty, I came into this post thinking that my daughter was in denial. I sat her down with the expectation that I was giving her information she didn't know. Now, after everyone is suggesting bisexuality, it actually makes a lot of sense. Honestly, I don't know much about it. I do not know anyone who is openly bisexual, and the only time I've really heard about it is people wanting to experiment by having strong feelings one way or the other. So, I will be the first to admit I do not understand it. If that's who the kid is, then I absolutely will accept him. I only want to protect my daughter. The fact that she might have known already never crossed my mind at all, and if that's the case, her reaction makes a lot of sense. Commenter 2 says, go learn about biphobia and bi-erasure. Right now, you've got some of the very worst stereotypes of bisexuality. Please disabuse yourself of these ASAP and go see your daughter. Tell her that you do not need to know how he identifies himself, but that if she is good with whatever his sexuality is, that is good enough for you. And that you get that, although he may have dated men, he can also be in love with her. OP says, I know next to nothing about bisexuality. I know I need to talk to Stan and Dina, but I do want to learn. If that's who he is and he loves my daughter, then I want to understand. Update 1 week later. So, a lot has happened in the last week. Stan came to see us this weekend. He came out to my wife and me as pansexual. I had researched bisexuality, but not pansexuality, so I was a bit lost. Stan told us that he is attracted to people, not genders, but he's monogamous, so he wasn't lying when he said he loves Dina and wants a future with her. I told him that we love him, accept him, and love having him as a part of our family. In all honesty, I'm a bit more accepting than my wife. She grew up with certain values, and she's having a hard time with this. She's afraid that he's going to leave Dina for a man. I asked why she wouldn't be afraid of him leaving her for another woman, and she just shook her head and said it's not the same. Dina knew about this but did not want us to know. We, admittedly, trend right politically for financial reasons. She was afraid we wouldn't accept him and other family members would think badly of him. I hate that she felt this way because I love Stan and I love that he loves Dina. That's all that matters. After leaving our house, Dina apparently told Stan that his secret had gotten outed to us and we wouldn't be paying for the wedding anymore. She told him that part of his life was over and he needed to tell us that he was confused and was now 100% straight. They had a huge fight and Stan was ready to end the engagement. Dina is talking to us again. She apologized for her reaction. She said that she had pretty much been able to bury the fact that Stan dated men in her mind because they're monogamous and getting married, but us bringing it up made her confront a lot of feelings. She's since apologized to Stan, says she knows she isn't going to magically turn him straight, and assured him she loves who he is. I'm happy for them and hope they can work it out. I don't know terribly much about LGBT issues, but I'm trying to educate myself, so apologies if I said anything incorrectly. ScalingStories Corner. Yo, I gotta be honest, I did not know what pansexual meant. I think I've heard it before, but I didn't know like exactly what it meant. But I looked it up and it said something along these lines. A sexual or romantic attraction to people regardless of their gender identity or biological sex. So the more you know. I also understand where Dina was at in the original post now. So Stan was in a way closeted about his orientation to everyone else. And OP said that him and his wife had right-leaning views. So of course Dina was afraid that they wouldn't react positively to Stan coming out as pansexual. And we also see that OP's wife is still having a hard time accepting this. So yeah, I don't really blame Dina for like the way she felt. But I also think it was completely messed up for her to, after she left the house, to go to Stan and then be like, yo, that part of your life, it's over now. And you gotta tell them that you were confused and you're 100% straight. Because like, no, he's not, and he doesn't want to be. That's like if he was bi, and then he had to say that he was confused and he's 100% straight. And I feel bad that he had to come out like that to OP and his wife. But I'm assuming he really loves Dina and he thought like, okay, what is the only way I can save this engagement and relationship, right? Because he said he was close to calling it off. And I think that he told himself that like, okay, I have to go to OP and his wife and come out to them. And if they react poorly, then I'm out. But luckily, OP reacted really positively and he thought like, okay, like this could work. This is possible. But yeah, I'm glad he was able to come out and be accepted for who he was, or who he is, who he was, who he is. Now here are some of the top/relevant comments from the update post. Commenter 1 says, "Get a prenup anyway. That marriage is doomed, and not because he's pan, but because your daughter is mental. Instead of just explaining to you that he likes people regardless of gender, she freaks out, denies everything, and goes home and tells him that you two are so homophobic that you are no longer paying for the wedding. Then demands he goes to you and lie about who he is to get your money. If that's how she handles her problems, I don't see how anyone, regardless of their sexuality, could stay married to her. You need to check your daughter on her behavior. What she did was completely unacceptable and does not make for a healthy marriage." OP says, "She is very ashamed of how she acted. We had a long talk about how certain ideas formed in her head growing up. She does love him and thought she was protecting him, but now realizes that she protects her future husband by accepting him. I think our accepting him made a big difference for her." Commenter 2 says, well, the only person coming off likable is Stan. I hope he gets out of there because you're all a big yikes, especially your daughter. I get you being ignorant with your age, even though I have such a hard time imagining someone getting to 65 without hearing about bisexuals. You did not grow up in the 1700s. Did you miss the 60s and 70s? Your wife sounds plain hateful, but your daughter is young. I would expect something so much better and less ignorant, and she's like that because of how you raised her. Also, stop kidding yourself. You're right in all the ways, not just financial, if this is the daughter you made. I do not hope they work out for his sake, and I really hope he doesn't marry her without a prenup. OP says, I've certainly heard of bisexuality, though I've never seen someone be open about it into adulthood. My experience with it is the Elton Johns and Neil Patrick Harrises of the world, who come out as bisexual and then announce that they're gay a few years later. My wife is a product of her upbringing. She has no problem tossing the F word around, something I find unacceptable. Commenter 3 says, has she ever said this slur in front of Stan? Or her daughter? If so, I think this might go deeper than the surface issue here. OP says, Stan, not to my knowledge. Dina and me, yes. Her parents used it as well, and to my wife, it's like any other word. I've gotten very upset with her for using it numerous times, and she did use it to refer to Stan after he left the other night, which I shut down immediately. Yikes, what? What? Okay friends, so that concludes today's video. Leave a like and comment down below to let me know what you thought of it, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care.